Hey, everybody. We're back. Enjoy part 2. Remember, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. And when Tennant regenerates, like, who's this guy with a big chin? Or when he checks his nose and says, "Ooh, I've had worse." And he feels his hair. I'm a girl. No, not a girl. And still not ginger.
Ginger.
I mean, you would think they've done a woman doctor. They've done a doctor of color. They have to have a ginger doctor now. We need a flaming ginger doctor as the next doctor. But before that, we are talking about the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith, who was introduced with the TARDIS crashing to the Earth. And it was one of the episodes that we picked was the 11th Hour, which is his introductory story. And as I said way back when we started this podcast, because we knew this was going to be a 20-hour podcast, way back at the beginning of the podcast, if I had to introduce, I was thinking of my daughter, I would pick the 11th Hour. It's just such a great Doctor introductory episode, and it's just filled with whimsy, and it's such a fairy tale, and it sets the stage for what Moffat is going to do as the new showrunner. And it introduces us to Karen Gillan, who is a great companion. And Matt Smith, as I said, with Tennant, just steps right in, and there's no fear. And he was the youngest person to ever play the Doctor at the time. And just, he is the Doctor. He doesn't have to announce himself at the end. He knocks it out of the park right from the beginning. He's different, like you just said, with the Doctor. Like, you're going to get introduced to a new Doctor. He's so much different, but he's still the same. And that's hard to do. You feel familiar with him even as you're saying, okay, who is this guy? But he is automatically the Doctor.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to put on that bow tie. And bow ties are cool. I just went to a wedding 2 weeks ago and wore a bow tie. But he doesn't have to put that bow tie on to be the Doctor. He is the Doctor.
No.
Yeah, it's cool. Bow ties are cool.
Yeah, I really, really love this one. I thought it's such the fantastical, it's heartwarming, it's a really fun introduction to the Doctor and who he is. And I really love like his interaction with a young Amy and how, he's figuring himself out and what his likes and dislikes are and how he doesn't, I love when he's, all about beans. Oh yes, beans. And then he tosses the plate out.
Beans are rubbish.
Bad beans.
Beans are rubbish. I hate, or was it apples? Apples are rubbish. I hate apples.
But you just said you loved them.
Moffat playing with that, with time travel, where he says, I'll be right back, and comes back, and that's how we don't know that who Karen Gillan is at first. But then when she says to him, it was, 12 years that she waited for him. And he's like, 12 years?
12 years.
What? And then what is it again when he leaves and says, I promise I will be right back? And is it at the end, and he's gone for, how long is it at the end? I forget how long he says. Is it another 6 months or something like that?
6 months, I think, yeah.
But it's just those little wrinkles that it deepens the character's relationship, because I think if Eccleston and Tennant had such a special relationship with Rose, I think 11 and Karen Gillan also have that special relationship right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
It's just both of them just hitting the ground running, and it's just a great introductory episode. And it carries in that whole first series is, I don't think that, for me, Matt Smith, it didn't really take him a lot of, he didn't have that uncomfortable period, I feel like, where he's trying to figure out how he's going to play the Doctor. I think he just went in there and he just said, okay, I know I'm following up one of the more popular people to ever do it. I'm going to put my own spin on it. And he was lucky that he had Moffat coming in as showrunner, who, as much as I like RTD, totally different styles. And I also think because the show had gotten so popular under 10, you could tell that the production budget went up a little bit. So they were able to, the show looked so much more better, and they were able to do a little bit better special effects. And that just added to the experience. And like I'm saying, the 11th hour, and you jump even into Victory of the Daleks and Vincent and the Doctor, and they are just classic episodes that you get to see Matt Smith's Doctor play off of the Daleks and also an historical figure. And the tone of both episodes are very different, but there's just that Moffat Matt Smith spin that they really leaned into, especially in that first series, that I really found appealing.
Yeah. And what I really like too is that it's not just the Doctor regenerating, it's the TARDIS as well.
Yes. I mean, it's his
we
whole
get-
world. It was so
Yeah.
great that they just got to do everything changed from Tennant to Matt Smith. That
Yeah.
and it was, as I said, I was watching it, I was binging it. So it was really when 9 changed to 10, he still had the same supporting cast. So this was the first time that I really got to see the whole show just totally change. And that's the great thing about Doctor Who, that it after a couple of years, it becomes a totally different show with totally different characters and relationships. And this was the first time I got to see it. And yeah, you had to get used to it, but as I said, it didn't really take that long because Moffat was working at such a high level, I think, at this time, that you just jumped right in and you were like, I'm in. I'm buying this. Let's go.
For sure. And I will say I absolutely love 11's TARDIS.
Yeah,
I
I like
think
that.
it is
Yes.
like the coolest interior ever.
The first
It
interior, or
is
the first or the second interior?
the first one.
Okay.
The like the very orange and all
Mm-hmm.
the like stairways and
Yes.
things, and which I absolutely love. That one is my favorite. If I had to, I pick an interior of the TARDIS, that one is just the freaking coolest. And I like what I really like about it is that it's a completely different thing from what we've seen for the first few years. And it also, like with the stairwells, it gives you an idea that there's a little bit more to the TARDIS than what you see.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, there's a swimming pool in there, obviously.
there's a library. Or the swimming pool's in the library. but but yeah, it's just that one is my absolute favorite. And I really love that, that was something too when I was new to this, coming into that and like, oh, new Doctor, and whoa, the TARDIS changed, the outside and the inside completely changed. And so it was kind of a wow, like it's not, the Doctor changes, the TARDIS as well. Like that was really cool.
Yeah. It was like everything got a fresh coat of paint. Everything was just
Yeah.
new and brighter and looked better.
And I
Yeah,
think it needs that,
it
where
does.
it needs to grow and develop and change. And it can't just be with the Doctor or the companion. It needs to be with the environment, and that's
Yeah.
where the TARDIS comes in, right? Where the TARDIS will change and grow, and and it can be also with sort of how the story goes too, because later on, like the TARDIS gets dark, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's a little darker period for the Doctor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but
yeah,
before that, I think you get to see, because those are 2 episodes that you picked were Vincent and the Doctor and Victory of the Daleks.
yes,
You get to see the establishment of Amy and the Doctor's relationship. And I like that they kind of subvert. You think it's going to be another case of the companion who falls in love with the doctor and is pining for the doctor. And there's a little bit of that, but with the
A little bit.
introduction of Rory and the introduction of, oh, you came to me the night before my wedding, and that's why I'm running with you because I'm not sure that I want to get married. And this is Matt Smith's doctor is also a little bit more of a flirty doctor, and that grows as he interacts more with River Song also.
Mhm.
But he's a little bit more of a horny doctor, I think, than David Tennant's, or at least
Yeah.
outwardly horny than David Tennant's was.
Yeah, for sure.
Vincent and the Doctor is one of those classic episodes. It's another one of those that if somebody said, "Okay, introduce me to Doctor Who," that might be one of the ones in a top 5 that you say, like, "Okay, I'll show them Vincent and the Doctor," because, yeah, it has the alien threat and some jump scares, but it also has that just great relationship with Amy and the Doctor and Vincent, and that end scene of getting to show him what he'll become. And this is a little bit of a different Doctor because I don't know if Tennant would have taken him to the future, because it is a fixed
No.
point that he does commit suicide. So if you show him that, you're almost kind of risking that maybe he sees that he's going to become what he's going to become, and maybe decides, well, I'm going to go on with my life because I know that what lies in store. But of course, as with most things, it doesn't turn out that way. And
Yeah.
Victory of the Daleks is, again, with every Doctor, you have to reestablish that Doctor and Dalek relationship. And I think it's very interesting that they bring the Daleks into World War II, and that
Yeah.
England is using them as weapons against Germany, until it's revealed that the Dalek master plan is that they've built a cyborg man who was building them. And now and this is where I start to get like confused and mixed up with the Dalek lore, because these were the newer version, the multicolored Daleks that they
Yeah.
introduced.
Which
I don't think
I
they lasted long, did they?
no, they were literally just that one episode.
That's right. Okay.
And I believe did the 11 threaten them with the cookie?
Yes.
Yeah. That it was a bomb.
Yes. But I like Eleven's. He has a different relationship with the Daleks that 9 did and that 10 did. So it's always unique to see how the Doctor is gonna relate with the Daleks, especially. I mean, you're gonna see them with the Cybermen, we haven't even brought up, or
Yeah.
with all of his returning villains, Weeping Angels. I think the Weeping Angels for Matt Smith became one of the main villains for the Matt Smith version of the Doctor. But it was fun to see him interact with the Daleks, and it was just, there are only so many ways you could tell a Dalek story. So
Yeah.
like I said, it was interesting to see them in a historical setting. But that's smart of the Daleks to say, like, okay, we can go back because we know this is a desperate time for this country as they're at war, and we can set ourselves up to be uh, a tool for them to fight against their oppressors, but then also turn the tables on them. And to get to
For
see,
sure.
I like the confidence of Amy and the flirtiness of Amy. I do think she is one of the better companions, and I will admit to having a crush on Karen Gillan. So, but I think it was an interesting twist on the Doctor companion relationship, especially when they bring Rory into the mix. Now, I will say, as much as I like Moffat's writing and as much as I like his run with Doctor Who, I do think that cherry picking episodes like we did for this run, and I'm not as big of a fan as you are, so I don't remember everything. I remember some of the big points of Moffat's run, but it was hard cherry picking stuff because I'm like, okay, when the heck did Rory become the Centaurian? When did the Pandorica open and the Doctor rebooted the whole universe? I can't remember where
Yeah.
this is falling and how this happened, and when did River kill the Doctor, or when was she supposed to kill the Doctor?
Yeah, because that was that whole run where it was started with the Impossible Astronaut,
Mm-hmm.
and and then it sort of continued from there, and we're revealing who she was. And in that was the Pandorica and essentially all these characters coming together to, put the Doctor in a box.
And
And then
it's
that's when around there then Rory became the centurion.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say
So
because it's touched upon in some of the episodes, and I had picked like the time of the angels. As I just said, I think the Weeping Angels were. I think they were the main villain for the Matt Smith run as the Doctor. As much as the Daleks still came back, I think Moffat because he knew that he had created them, so he wanted to push them and make them one of the bigger villains. I think he's succeeded, and I think they are a
mhm,
viable threat. But the time of the Angels take Manhattan, which I had as one of mine also. I mean, the time of the Angels, you get to see River Song again, and it's the first time that Matt Smith's Doctor interacts with River, and it's the first time that Karen Gillan is introduced to River, who we will eventually find out is her daughter.
yeah.
Yes, people, if you're just listening to this episode because you like the podcast, thank you, first of all. And if you've never watched Doctor Who, you're like, what? What the? It makes sense if you watch the show.
Yeah.
But it builds upon the angels also and makes them scarier
Yeah.
as we see more of them, and we really see them as ganging up on our characters, and it builds them really as as a villain to be reckoned with.
Mhm,
And it's one of the first times I think that Amy is realizing that okay, this can be dangerous. What I'm
mhm,
doing, yeah, it can be fun, and we get to travel to different places and do all this stuff. But now this this could be scary, and I could die. The time of the angels, it really builds the relationship with Matt Smith's Doctor with River Song. I think they, I mean, Tennant was only with her in 2 episodes, and Matt Smith got to be with her through 3 series, so they really got to
mhm.
build upon that relationship, but their chemistry is really great, and you buy them as even though they're meeting at different times, you buy them as a couple.
Oh, for
And
sure.
Amy can tell right away that they're a couple, even if the Doctor doesn't realize it because he's meeting her out of order. Amy can tell right away, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, and um, I it was funny because in it was the Angels Take Manhattan where we had the giant weeping angel,
Yes, well, the Statue of Liberty,
and then
basically.
yeah, Statue of Liberty, and then we had the baby angels.
Yes, they were scary.
I
They were scary.
I this is a little side tangent but connected to it. Um, I had actually, and I think Mom still has it. Um, we actually found a baby weeping angel statue,
Oh, wow.
and we bought it immediately. It was at like a home goods store or whatever, and we were like, yes, but don't blink.
Yeah, seriously. Keep that thing in the rearview mirror and just keep staring at it as you bring it
Yeah,
home.
but yeah, we actually had one of those because it was, having seen that episode, and then it was like, oh, we need one of these. But yeah.
Yeah, before getting totally into the Angels Take Manhattan, because with 11, we're very heavy on Amy and Rory episodes. The Girl Who
Yeah.
Waited, I think, is a very good episode, which again plays with concept of time and time travel and uses that to build up the relationship of Amy and Rory, but also I think put more doubt into Amy about the Doctor and
Yeah.
about what it's like to travel with him. And I think it reinforces her decision to be with Rory and to realize that he is the true man in her life, where
Yeah.
you thought in the beginning that she was going to be the one who falls for the Doctor. But it just proves that he is the one who will walk for 1,000 years to get to her. He is the one who promises that he will protect her, but he has to make that choice of an Amy who is older, who has lived in a reality for 20 years, but is still Amy. It's still
Yeah.
Amy, even though the Amy of the present is there also. And
Yeah.
It's another way to play with the concepts of time and just to put a different spin on these types of episodes. And it's makes you think of how what would you do if you're in that situation? It's still the person that you know. It's just from a different time in their life.
For sure. And it's, you know,
And it
realize,
shows that the doctor lies also. It
yeah,
reinforces that the doctor, for as much as we love him, he still has that darkness in him. He will lie to you.
for sure. And I think that's where that, you know, it solidifies that, Amy, loves Rory because he's there. He's, there's no risk with him like there is with the doctor, where you get yourself into these situations and, where he necessarily might not be there and you're kind of stuck, how, very much she is. And so it's that thinking of, well, well, not really think, but realization that, yeah, this, as incredible as it is, it's not the greatest situation to sort of be in, and the doctor is dangerous, you know?
Which leads us to we brought it up. You brought it up in your story of you're foolishly buying baby weeping angels. I don't know why you would do that, but I mean, teach their own. The Angels Take Manhattan, which is the
Yes.
final Amy and Rory story. And we do get River Song also. And it's great. I had forgotten until I rewatched it again last week for this podcast. The tension between Eleven and River in this episode. And the way how angry she is with him, where she says, "You embarrass me."
Yeah.
And I, it's as I said, they have such great chemistry, Alex Kingston and Matt Smith, and you really feel that disgust that she is throwing at him, and you feel his shame. And whenever they have a story of the companion leaving, it's always going to be emotional, but that final scene of the doctor pleading with Amy to come back to the TARDIS and him crying as River is behind him because Rory has already been sent back into the past. And it goes to prove, like you just brought up, that Amy knows who she wants to be with.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to it, she will choose Rory, even if it means that she'll never see the doctor again.
Hmm.
And she looks at him and says, "Raggedy Man, goodbye."
And she's gone.
Yeah.
And, 11, he's just inconsolable. And, of course, they had such a great friendship, and suddenly now she's gone. But, you know, she loves Rory, and she, and not so much that it couldn't bear to live without him without actually saying that, but, having lost him, and, the fact that, well, she can, you know, join him essentially, but then it means she's stuck, and that's where she
Mhm.
ultimately passes. That's, but going back to the TARDIS wasn't, I don't think, an option for her. It
Yeah.
was, no, she was going to be with Rory.
It builds up the Weeping Angels as a major, major villain, and it makes them really, really scary. I mean, it's a whole hotel full of Weeping Angels, and like you just talked about the baby Weeping Angels, you go into the basement and you hear them chuckling and laughing in the dark as Rory keeps lighting matches to see where they are. That is scary. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. There's no way. There's not That's why I can never be a companion to the doctor. I am not dealing with that. There's no way I'm dealing with baby weeping angels. It's not
Not
happening.
not not today. Nope,
Not
nope,
today,
no.
Satan.
Not
Not
today.
today, Satan Pit. It's not happening. Playing with the whole concept of the timey-wiminess of it all with the book, the mystery book, being written by River, but with the epilogue by Amy, with her final message to the doctor. It's just if you're gonna have a companion leaving story, I think this is the one that you have to hold as that you're going to compare any companion leaving story to, I think.
For sure. Yeah, like this was, all the sort of previous, well, the couple previous were, like they were taken away, and then um Martha, she ultimately chose to leave, and then Donna, she sadly, had to forget everything. And then this was sort of like she wanted to be with Rory, and there was nothing that was going to convince her otherwise. And I think, yeah, that's, you know, definitely top tier of companions leaving, because it wasn't it was a choice, but it wasn't, that moment that was the controlled moment or something like that where I'm trying to get at.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just the situation came, and the decision had to be made, however hard it was, and it happened, right? So
And then we go from one of, I think, the most beloved companions to a companion I think is a little bit divisive. That's the sense that I
yeah,
get in Clara. And we we were kind of introduced to her in an earlier episode involving the Daleks,
yeah, she was souffle girl.
Souffle Girl. And we are then introduced to an iteration of her in The Snowmen, which was one of the episodes that you chose. And I had forgotten how good this episode is. One, because
Mm,
the Pasternak gang is in it, and I think I think it's the introduction to them, correct?
yeah,
And so it's the Doctor is kind of in exile after losing Rory and Amy, and
yeah,
he's basically not the Doctor anymore. But
no,
he's also being assisted by he's in Victorian England, and he's being assisted by a a woman lizard alien, who is the basis for Sherlock Holmes.
yeah,
her her lover, and a Santorin who is their butler,
yeah,
Drax.
yeah,
Strax,
Strax,
excuse me, Drax. I'm thinking of Drax the Destroyer, Strax.
yeah, Strax,
Why they did not get, and I'm sure they've had spin-off novels or comics, but why they did not get their own show, I do not know. I wish they did.
yeah,
It's not gonna happen now.
no,
But so yeah, in very much the Moffat fashion, it's very fairy tale like. There's an invasion of snowmen, monsters.
yeah, but basically the I can't remember the main that villain character's
The
name,
great
but
intelligence.
the Great Intelligence. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
um, that it was manifested.
Mm,
That they're silly, that humans are silly,
yes.
and that you don't need them, and kind of manipulating him to sort of become who he becomes, right?
Terrifying. Every time I make a snowman now for my children, I'm waiting for it to whisper to me.
Just imagine water.
That's right. And we meet a version of Clara Oswald. There's so much imagery in this that is beautiful. I mean, it's in the Victorian era. The Doctor has his top hat, and I mean, come on. He lives on a cloud that you can get to by climbing up a rope and then walking up a staircase to the TARDIS. I mean, if that's not a childhood fairy tale, I don't know what is. And I was charmed by this episode. I didn't have a great memory of it, so I was excited to watch it again because I wanted to be surprised by it. Um, I myself, I said Clara is a divisive character. She's not my favorite of the companions, the Impossible Girl. I
Mm,
think one, she had big shoes to step into, much like Martha having to follow up Rose. She had to follow up Amy. I don't know. She just, to me, she came on a little too strong. I mean, you picked the snowmen, which is almost it's not really her first episode as companion, but it almost is. That the Bells of
Yeah.
St. John is the first episode with her as a companion.
Yeah.
But one of the episodes that I picked was The Time of the Doctor, which is Matt Smith's regeneration story.
Mhm.
And there's a little bit of growth from the Bells of St. John to her final story with 11, but I think they took a lot of characteristics of the past New Who companions and kind of, since she is souffle girl, kind of threw them into a souffle with her. So she never, to me, stood out very much. So she
No.
was never one of
She
my favorite companions.
she really wasn't one of mine either. Um she I didn't you create, a connection with a character, and like, as much as, I wasn't really into like Martha Jones, you still like, she was likable.
Mm-hmm.
But with Clara, she's really tough to kind of like,
Yeah.
because she kind of had this, you know a slightly overconfident, maybe a mildly cocky kind of energy
Mm-hmm.
about her. Like, she just, like you said, like, coming on too strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see it because she's trying to fill shoes of the previous, but it came off kind of wrong in some way, and I never really got a connection with her at all.
Yeah. Like,
Like,
much like you said, I mean, Rose was unique in her own way. And then Martha followed her up.
mhm,
And even though they had her still pine for the Doctor, she was still a likable character. And it was unique that she was a woman of color. And we saw how that affected
mhm,
her when she would travel. So there was stories to be told there. And then Donna was unique in that she did not love the Doctor. She wanted to be friends with the Doctor. And she grew because
mhm,
of her. They all did. But Donna grew so much because she traveled with the Doctor. And then, as I said with Amy, that okay, they're setting it up that she is going to be a love interest for the Doctor, but it's subverted by them showing that she really loves Rory and they all travel together. And then with Clara, it was just, yeah, I can be whatever you need me to be. She starts out, I mean, by the end, she's a school teacher, but that's not what she was when she was first introduced. I just don't think they knew what to do with her. And I never
yeah,
bought her relationship with the Doctor. And some doctors and companions, like Rose, is thought of as 9 and ten's companion.
mhm,
Even though Donna is a very popular character, I think Rose is most associated with them. I think that Amy is most associated with 11.
yeah,
But for me, I don't associate Clara with either 11 or 12. I associate 12 more with Bill than I do with Clara.
yeah,
So I have The Time of the Doctor as one of my favorite ones. I think it's a great regeneration story. I think it's another great fairy tale by Moffat. I think that it's filmed so well. I love the visuals of it. And it is funny. I don't mind her that much in this episode. I like seeing a little bit of Clara's home life with her family and especially with her grandmother. But again, I don't buy the Doctor, he's got the imaging because he's naked, but she can see his clothes on him. And then he goes to the Christmas party and they don't realize that he's naked. I don't think that humor lands that much. It's not because I'm a prude. I don't care about that. I just don't think I think it's kind of stupid. Um,
yeah,
I just like the story that he has to protect this town. He's the man who came and stayed for Christmas, the town called Christmas
mhm,
on Trenzalore, and that's it had been built up that this is where the Doctor was heading. He saw that there was a huge TARDIS grave, that this is where he was going to die. But when we say die, it's
mhm,
not regenerate. That this is where he was going to die because this was his last regeneration. Famously, fandom wanted to know how is he gonna regenerate because he has no regenerations left,
yeah,
and he stays on this town as all of because there's a crack that goes back to his very first episode with Amy. There's a crack in the universe where the Time Lords have been banished, and they're asking a question, and the question is Doctor Who. They want to know his name. If he says his name, then he can bring them back. But if he brings them back, that means the Time War will start again. So all of his enemies, especially the Daleks, have surrounded this planet and this town, and he spends lifetimes defending this town against all of his enemies. And to see as they show the time passing by and all the pictures, the crayon drawings that the children of the town through the decades and hundreds of years have made of the person who is the hero of this town as he defends them against all of his enemies. And it's a Sophie's choice. He doesn't want to say his name because even though he wants Gallifrey to come back, he knows that if he brings Gallifrey back, that it will also restart the Time War and just lead to more destruction. And Clara, again, this was one of the, it's just almost unearned that she's the one who can talk to the Time Lords and say, oh, give him your power and that's how they get around he has no more regenerations. The Time Lords, instead of coming back, they give him more regenerations and give him their regeneration power to destroy the Daleks who are getting ready to destroy the town and the planet. And that means he has a whole new regeneration cycle. But I never buy it that she is the one who can speak up to them and tell them that this is that you need to do this. If it was Rose, I could buy Donna. I could buy Donna out of all of his companions being the one who could appeal to them and say, you need to save him.
Because they care so much for him, and are willing, especially Donna would be willing to stand up and say something along with Rose. And whereas with Clara, it's just the key word for her is unearned, because she hasn't done anything to really prove that she's earned these things, or that she's gotten to the point where she can do that. It's sort of just, oh, she's suddenly able to do that, and it's like, what? How?
Why?
Yeah, she's what?
Now, I will say his final scene with her, his regeneration scene, where he appears because he was an old man at the very end before the Time Lords give him their regeneration energy. And he appears to her and she says, you're young again. And he says, whole new regeneration cycle. It's just getting started. And she said, she doesn't understand. She says, you didn't even change. And she sees the fish fingers and custard on the TARDIS console, and he starts to give her that speech about, we all change through the years, and that's how we move forward, but to never forget, who we were. I'm paraphrasing, and says, and it's very meta that he says, I won't forget a second of this. I'll always remember when the Doctor was me. And it kind of undercuts Clara that he looks and sees the TARDIS decorated with all the pictures that Amy had drawn of him, and sees the young Amy running up the stairs, and then Karen Gillan comes back and walks down the steps and touches his cheek and again says, Raggedy Man, good night. And, he's only seeing that. And as Clara is telling him, please don't change, and then changes into a crusty old Scottish man.
I will not forget one line of this. Not one day. I swear. I will always remember when the Doctor was me.
And I'm sorry, I've been going on and on about I love that episode. I love that regeneration scene. I think it was so well written, and I can't do it justice by trying to say the speeches that Matt Smith had said. But yeah,
I will say what was interesting about it though was how fast that regeneration was.
Yes, well, that's because he has a new regeneration cycle. He's not blowing up
the
everything.
Fact that, it could have been, how so many of them you see him, like the face change and things, and then he becomes the next person. It was just like, boom, okay, he's new guy now.
Boom, and he's growing new kidneys. And
Yeah.
he doesn't like the color. And also does
But I
not know
like
how to fly the TARDIS.
no. But I like his Eleven's end, like how
Yes.
he with his everything and how it ends. I really like that.
Yeah, he
You know?
ends with a fairy tale, and that's how he
Yeah.
started. And I think his whole run as 11 was very fairy tale and fantasy like. And it was
For sure.
such a unique feel for Doctor Who.
Hmm.
And I just love that Moffat went in that direction and didn't just try to do the same, didn't just try to continue what RDT had done with Tennant. He took it
Yeah,
in
for
his
sure.
own direction, and I think it just rejuvenated, and it made it even more popular because Matt Smith's run was very popular and also started to get popular in the States. That's when you saw BBC America really picking up the series and promoting it, and
Yeah.
that's when I first kind of became aware of it. It was on the cover of Entertainment Weekly. I think it was when The Impossible Astronaut came out. They were really pushing it then, and with the
Yeah.
50th coming up. So, I mean, Tennant and Matt Smith, it can't be understated what they did to make Doctor Who as popular as it was in the early 2010s.
Yeah. And they had I think it was a Doctor Who Confidential, maybe. It was one of the like behind the scenes kind of things, and it was when 11, like Matt Smith and Karen Gillan and Arthur Darvill, they go to the States
Yeah,
to
for Angels Take Manhattan, I think, because they filmed in New
yeah,
York.
and well, they had gone to the States. There was like the whole promotional thing,
Mhm.
and they were so surprised at how energetic the fans were. They were like, wow, because from Britain, yeah, there's the fan base, there's thing, but it's so much different from like how the United States and American fans were. They were just so excited, and they really remarked on how different that was, and they loved it. Like they loved that enthusiasm, but they were just I think maybe a little culture shocked by it
Yeah.
because it was so different. But that was really when that that popularity in America really came about.
Do you know, in 900 years of time and space, I've never met anyone who wasn't important before.
It is funny, though, that it was so popular, and then Moffat, and I think smartly again, did not want to just repeat himself. He could have just went and got the next young, really good-looking, quirky actor and say, okay, this is going to be the next Doctor. But no, he goes for the older Scottish actor with the attack eyebrows, as they called them, who was also,
Yes.
much like David Tennant, a huge fan of Doctor Who, but a fan of the original Doctor Who because he was
Yeah.
much older than Tennant and Matt Smith had been. Peter
Mhm.
Capaldi.
You are monsters! That is the role you seem determined to play, so it seems that I must play mine. The man that stops the monsters.
And I do think this is where you saw, coming off Matt Smith's run that was so successful and so popular, and at the time that Capaldi started in 2015, the world was very much changing. The world was getting a little bit darker, and I think Doctor Who also, and you could tell me if you think I'm wrong or what your opinion on is, I think Doctor Who very much reflected what was going on in the world. And I think Capaldi was a doctor that we needed for that time in history. And I also think Capaldi, out of any of the doctors, saw the biggest character growth and character change over his time as the Doctor. And going from that dark character that we were first introduced to, who even Clara doesn't fully trust, to loving his companions and finally realizing, not finally, but realizing and intoning in his last episode that to always be kind and to, you know, fighting for kindness and saying that, making speeches that I only do this because it's kind, and that's why I do this. And I don't know if you could see the Doctor in his first, especially that first series of him as the Doctor, being like that. But I think Moffat wanted to explore how the Doctor goes from questioning if he's a good man to realizing that in his own way, he is a good man. Maybe he's not perfect, and maybe he wants to be because he thinks he should be. But in his way, he is a good man, and he tries to do good and to inspire others to do good. And I just think Capaldi, over his run, the series then that had been going up, did start to, that was where you saw, and it was also the time of streaming was becoming more popular. So it's everybody wasn't watching the show when it was premiering. But it was just, you know, it's the natural progression of things also. The show had been on for 10 years when he started, and he wasn't the young pinup Doctor that a lot of fans, and that's okay, I mean, but a lot of fans have been used to for the last two Doctors. So maybe you're not getting that audience that is watching because they think the Doctor's cute. I mean, hey, I'd love to have Peter Capaldi's hair, so I'm not wrong with Peter Capaldi. He's got awesome hair. But I think he's the most interesting Doctor, and his run is the most interesting run of Doctor Who for many different reasons. So what are, you know, I'm prattling on, but what are your thoughts on Capaldi?
It took me a while to warm up to him.
Yep.
I'm still not 100% really the biggest fan of him, but I do like the moments that he had, you know, and you know, he did have his fun moments. He did have, you know, and him about doing things about being kind. And that's when I think like the much later episodes I really sort of warmed up to him a little bit more.
I don't think
because he
I don't
grew.
think he fully became the Doctor until his last series, which is a shame.
Yeah.
And I think he had the opposite character arc than the other two Doctors who were so warm and fuzzy, but that was because they were hiding that darkness within them that they would let out every once in a while, but they were hiding it. Whereas he put forth the darkness and crustiness because he was hiding the kindness and love that he was afraid to show.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean with doing it a little bit different. But I get what you're saying. It took me a while to warm up to him. I liked how he played the Doctor, but it took me, and like I said with Clara, I never really bought them as companion and Doctor. I didn't think it was a great match. And Jenna Coleman almost left after that first series, but then decided to come back. When I think of 12, I think of him with Bill and with Nardole. And I think that he finally figured out how to play the Doctor in that final series of his, with the combination of his sarcastic type of humor and being a little bit more warm toward Bill and his sarcastic kind of relationship with Nardole, but also being intense. He was, and even more intense than Eccleston ever was.
Mm-hmm.
But I get what you're saying. I mean, I think it was hard in the beginning because you had picked Into the Dalek and Robots of Sherwood as two of the episodes. And Into the Dalek is good because, again, you know, you have to see how the new Doctor is going to deal with the Daleks. And it's another one where you only really have one Dalek, and it's an interesting premise. You get to miniaturize the Doctor and Clara and a bunch of soldiers, and they go into a Dalek to repair it. And how is there a good Dalek?
Yeah, when it's, you know, I do find it cute that, you know, he nicknamed the Dalek Rusty.
Rusty.
Rusty. So, you know, there was that little bit of humor there, and I thought it was neat that they, you know, they shrunk down and got to go really inside, you know, a Dalek and fix it, and, you know, for then the Dalek, and I like the connection to like Dalek and Journey's End,
Yeah.
where there's those little
Yeah,
flashback
the Dalek,
moments
and the
within there.
Dalek says to him again, you would make a good Dalek.
Yeah, and but then recognizing like just that hatred of Daleks, and then him Rusty going off, and but it was just really neat that it was something else. Like it was, yes, it was, there was like a Dalek in the episode, but it was different in the sense of they actually got to go in and explore this thing and fix it, and it was a sort of a different perspective,
Yeah,
as well as
you're having to
you know
find new ways to do a Dalek story.
yeah, and you've got the Dalek saying, "Oh, they're a good Dalek." Well, you're kind of questioning that because you know what they're capable of and how they think, and so I thought that was interesting that it was another, like, a different way of exploring the Dalek and what the Dalek is, so yeah, that one I enjoyed.
And I think one of the things in that episode that made Capaldi's version hard to warm up to is when one of the soldiers is killed
Yeah,
and he's seemingly uncaring about it and says it was going to happen anyway. Now, other doctors,
yeah,
tenants would say, I'm sorry, I'm so, so sorry. And Matt Smith's would probably be more empathetic, but they would also know that, yes, this was going to happen. It's just that outwardly they would show more empathy. Whereas Capaldi's doctor is just matter of fact. This was going to happen anyway, and I need to save the rest of you. So I'm sorry. He doesn't even say I'm sorry. It's just that, okay, this
yeah,
happened. Let's move on. And might be sarcastic about it. And I think that's
yeah,
what turned some fans off, is that they wanted him to be a little bit more warm and fuzzy than he was ready to be. And that's just not how the
mhm,
character was written early in his run. I mean, even
yeah,
Robots of Shorewood, it's a fun episode, but it can get a little annoying after a while where it's Robin Hood and the Doctor going back and forth against one another. It's like, all right, we get it. Like, but
yeah.
I mean, it's funny also. I do like him sword fighting with a spoon.
Yes, I'm the doctor, and this is my spoon.
Spoon. And even again, very meta, where he says, "Okay, Robin Hood does not exist, so you have to be a
Yeah,
robot." Where tell me
yeah,
now, you're a robot. This was all created. It's a simulation, and they just and it's like, oh no, I guess I'm wrong. It's brought up at the end where Robin Hood says to him that maybe I'm a legend and a story, but it seems that that's what you are too. So they kind of want to juxtapose what the Doctor is to what Robin Hood is.
yeah. And I think it's just it's yeah, it does get kind of a little bit annoying with it in the episode, but I still think it's fun. Like the fact that they're playing with Clara loves Robin Hood.
Mhm.
She knows that he's a fictional character, but still wants to meet him and go see him, and so they find a way to do that. And I think it's just a fun fun thing.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It's just, again,
No.
I think it was very early in his run, and people were still
Yeah.
trying to find a way to relate to him as the Doctor. And I just,
Yeah.
like you said, and I even felt the same way because I was excited when he was cast because I'd watched
Yeah.
all of Eccleston and Smith and Tennant. So I was trying
Yeah.
to find my way into getting used to him as the Doctor, and it was the first time I was doing it week to week instead of binging 2 episodes a night. So that might have also played into it.
Yeah.
A lot of the episodes that I picked for 12, as I said, are with Bill because I think that was a better companion for him. But Listen, I think, is one of his earlier episodes that is very, very good.
Mm.
And showed you that this Doctor he could be a little manic and he could be a little obsessive.
Yeah.
And it's another one that Moffat plays with time travel and plays with going back and forth to different times. And, you might time travel, but you're only going to time travel 10 minutes ahead or behind. But then you can also time travel to the end of everything. And it's an episode that I think fandom was divided on because they weren't sure, okay, was the monster under the sheets in that bed, or was it just one of the classmates playing a joke? But I think that's what makes the episode really good, is that you never see what this monster is. And it's always,
Yeah.
as they say, the scariest thing is what's in your imagination. Even that one part where they all turn their backs and you just see a kind of blurry glimpse of what this thing is, it makes it scarier because in your head you're building up, oh my God, what is this thing that's behind them? Because you're imagining
Yeah.
yourself in that situation. And then you
Mhm.
go to a spaceship at the end of everything, at the end of the universe, at the end of time, and you hear something banging on a door. You can't see it, but you know something is trying to get in, or is it just the airlock? Is it the engines cooling?
Yeah.
So it was, and again, I think it's a little bit not brought down, but the whole Clara gets to go and talk to the doctor when he's in his bed when he's a child. I don't know if that's earned with her character. I don't even know if you need that part in it because I think the whole rest of the episode is so well done.
Yeah.
And it might just
I
be my bias toward not liking Clara that much.
I felt it was a little bit misplaced. Like, it didn't really fit in with what the story was, which was going to see, like, basically Danny Pink as a child when he was
Mhm.
Rupert Pink.
Yeah.
And then it becomes, oh, there's this side character that's the doctor, apparently. And that for me didn't really work. It was something that I don't think really was needed, but maybe they were looking for something like for Clara to do, and again that unearned thing, but felt that she needed to be that person. I don't know. It's a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it was really necessary in that, but
I think Clara works better in an episode that you picked, and I was going to pick this one also, but you had picked it before me. The Girl Who Died.
yeah.
In that she truly is his friend and his conscience in this one, but she's not grating on him. She's just saying to him, and she's saying to the people in these Vikings in this town who are not warriors, who have to fight against an alien race, that he will figure out a way. And she says to him, I know you will figure out a way. You're going to figure
Mhm.
this out, because the doctor is questioning himself.
Yeah.
And she's not berating him and she's not hollering at him. She just says, you'll figure something out. And she shows ingenuity when she is up trapped in the ship and getting herself back to the doctor. And when he sees her, he's happy. It shows that he does care about her. This episode for me is great just for the reveal when the doctor is doubting himself after Ashildr dies, and he goes and says, I'm not allowed, there's rules and I'm not allowed to do this. And all these years I'm losing so many people and there's things I can't do. And he looks into the water and he thinks, why did I choose this face? Which he said in his first episode. And you flash back to the fires of Pompeii and see the same character that Peter Capaldi had played. And you see Tennant say, come with me, because he thinks back to that moment where he did go and break the rules and saved one person and says to Clara, I realized that why I chose this face. I chose it because to hold me to the mark, because I'm the doctor and I save people. And he says, to
Mhm.
hell with you, to whoever, I'm going to do what I have to do. It's a good episode, but that whole section elevates it for me, because I think that's when Capaldi finally really becomes the doctor in that episode, because he's like, all right, now I know why I chose this face and I know what I'm supposed to be. I know. Whereas Tennant in the first episode is questioning, is this the man I am? And he figures out, oh, that's the man I'm supposed to be in his first episode. It takes a season and a half for Capaldi to figure out, okay, this is the doctor that I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. And that's why I like that episode, is that he, in that moment he solidifies himself. Like he figures out that this is who I am. This is who I need to be. I need to be you know, the person I chose, like the face I chose is, like the one that holds me accountable, keeps me in line, and reminds me to you know do the good things, and things like that, and do it kindly. um and yeah, I really like that one, because that's when, yeah, that's when I warmed up to him, was that him finally solidifying himself, that he wasn't sort of, that sort of dark, grumpy,
Crabby.
crusty figure.
Yes.
Yeah. he was the doctor in that moment, because I just didn't feel that early on.
Yeah.
um
And when
but yeah, and then,
when he does bring on Bill and Nardole as his companions in his last series, much like I said, I believe that's when that was his best series, and he played the Doctor the best in that series, because he knew how to balance out that kindness with that inherent darkness that his character had. And I picked two episodes, the last two episodes of his series, The Doctor Falls, and then his regeneration special, Twice Upon a Time. I think The Doctor Falls is just a great way to end his story with Missy, otherwise known as the Master, and John Sims Master, and that relationship is great, because that's something that's been there since early in Doctor Who history, and it feels like it was building into something, especially with the two versions of the Master, and it got to show the difference again of why the Doctor is the hero and how much he wants Missy / the Master to join him, and they never will. They just never will. They'll never be on that path. But it gets to, I think the episode just highlights that mission statement of what his character became, is of just being kind no matter what, and to fight for what you believe in. He doesn't want to fight, but if he has to fight, he's going to fight, because he will always fight to save people. And it might just be, again, a town, and this time it's Cybermen and not the Daleks that he's fighting to save a town from. But he'll always choose kindness and hope that is what is going to win the day. And I think it's a dark episode, because it really does end with Bill has been turned into a Cyberman. Nardole escapes with the townspeople, but they know that eventually they're on a huge spaceship that has different sections of, AI basically where they're living, and he knows that they're not going to be able to stay there forever. And it ends with the Doctor lying defeated on the battlefield.
mm-hmm.
After Matt Smith's run, that was so whimsical and so, as we just said, magical and fairy tale like, it's just Capaldi's got darker and darker and darker until the end, where this was a very dark end. I think darker than most people were expecting for Doctor Who.
Yeah, I agree.
Now I do think it is redeemed by Twice Upon a Time, because that's a fun regeneration story. Capaldi refuses to regenerate, and he meets the first Doctor who is also refusing to regenerate. And it's always fun when 2 or 3 or 4 Doctors meet up, because they're always going to annoy each other as they go on an adventure together. But he does get to have closure with Bill. He does get to see Clara one more time, and see it did not hit the same way as seeing Amy did with the 11th Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets to make a great speech at the end, where he is basically giving tips to his next incarnation and telling them, to avoid pairs, but also telling them to telling them to be kind. And as he releases the Doctor and regenerates.
Yeah. I like that they never forget, like Doctor Who never forgets where they came from. And I love when they bring, a previous incarnation in, and having that interaction with the current. And, they're
always going to hate the TARDIS of what they've done with the TARDIS. Oh, I don't like it.
I don't like it. Really, I did enjoy that one too. It was just, um, yeah, fun, and definitely, I think needed after the previous, right, where it was,
Yeah. Just
dark.
very unrelenting. Great episodes, but just very, very unrelentingly dark.
Never trust a hug. It's just a way to hide your face.
Yeah, for sure.
And famously, Peter Capaldi's 12th Doctor regenerated into the 13th Doctor, who was brilliantly a female doctor.
Yep.
For the first time. And there was no hand wringing or pearl clutching at all. Everybody loved it. And there was no controversy, and everybody lived happily ever after.
Can you just stop spewing the lies?
The way I see it, every life is a pile of good things and bad things. Hey, the good things don't always soften the bad things, but vice versa. The bad things don't necessarily spoil the good things or make them unimportant.
Okay, that was my dream world where people were open-minded and not idiots.
Yeah, exactly.
Jodie Whittaker was the 13th Doctor. And I will say, as this episode almost hits the 4th hour, the Jodie Whittaker and Kutigawa era of the Doctor is not my favorite era of the Doctor. Is it because the Doctor is a woman and a man of color? No. I do not care. I just think that Stephen Moffat leaving, Chris Chibnall taking over for Jodie Whittaker. I enjoy Jodie Whittaker's version of the Doctor. I think she is a great actress, and I think she played the character very well. I think the stories and the writing let her down. And also the bad luck, well, it's bad luck for everybody, for all of us, all over the world, but the bad luck of her run hitting also when COVID did, so it screwed up scheduling, and then which led to budget cuts because of the industry going through what the whole world was going through after COVID, shortened seasons, and it just led to uncertainty. And it was also, as we said, as Capaldi took over, the landscape of television was changing. Streaming was happening. So the ratings powerhouse that Doctor Who once was not the same.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, I cannot talk about Whittaker and Kutigawa at length like I can about Eccleston and Smith and Tennant and Capaldi, because while I watched their series, they didn't stand out to me. As much as I enjoyed both actors in the role, one, I think Jodie Whittaker just got dealt a bad hand and also was dealing with a showrunner who just was not that great, and writing for her stories that were not that great. And I think Kutigawa, the promise of the Disney Plus deal that people thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be a new era for Doctor Who. They're partnered up with Disney Plus. But he was also somebody who was playing the Doctor while at the same time making inroads to Hollywood. And I think that he never fully committed to the role. And it felt like as soon as he was cast, he was one step out the door. And he also had to follow a 60th anniversary special that had David Tennant return as a version of the 10th Doctor. He was kind of the 14th Doctor, kind of, sort of. And listen, it was fun. I loved seeing Tennant as the Doctor again. I loved seeing Donna Noble back again. I loved getting to see Wilf one more time. But as I joked, and I said somebody else had made the joke that it felt like Tennant had never left. It almost seemed like, okay, we don't trust that this is going to work, so let's bring David Tennant back, and then we'll have the new Doctor. And yes, he's a Doctor who's a man of color, and we know that some fans are already griping about that. And as I said, it just felt like he already had one foot out the door, so it never felt like he was totally committed to the role. And now, as of this recording at the end of 2025, you'll be listening to this at the beginning of 2026, Doctor Who is in limbo again. much like it was in 1989, much like it was in 1996.
Mhm.
It's going to come back. Russell T Davies, who returned when David Tennant came back as showrunner, has announced that there will be a Christmas special at Christmas of 2026. So, famously, when Kutigawa regenerated, he regenerated into Billy Piper. Now, did he regenerate into Rose? We don't know. Nobody knows, and nobody is telling. Whoever does know is not telling us.
Yeah.
But before we wade through all that, what are your thoughts? I mean, we did have favorite episodes of 13 and 14. I just don't know if I can speak to them in great length because I've seen them twice, but I just don't hold them in the same regard that I do for those first 10 to 13 years of Doctor Who that I watched. And what are your thoughts on 13 and 14 and 15?
Having not seen 13 and her run until very recently, I think I just wasn't able to see it or whatever, so it was kind of a bit of a challenge for me to see it. And so I didn't until very recently before we did this episode where I watched her entire run, and for the most part I enjoyed it. I thought she was great. I really liked the fact that I was a bit unsure about the multiple companions, but the fact that they had the multiple companions, but it worked. Like they all worked together. Like it never seemed, to me anyway, like it was too many people. Like it was a crowd of people. They all, I think, worked well together. But I never, with each Doctor, there's always that solidifying moment that they are the Doctor, that this is who they are, and they realize, I'm the Doctor, this is who I am. She didn't have that.
I'm glad you said that. Yeah, I felt that way too.
Yeah, that she never really had that solidifying moment that I'm the Doctor. This is me. This is who I am. They had, her the belief, like she didn't like guns. Like that was, something that she very much, held her ground on. But there wasn't really anything like to help her grow and develop. Like it was just it was very much the Doctor going through the motions, I think.
Yeah, I very much felt I liked her and I liked her portrayal, but I also thought it was she never stood out. It was taking bits and
Yeah.
pieces from the last couple of Doctors and throwing them, not in the same way that I'd said with Clara's, not in the same way that with Clara's character, because I think that 13 was a likable character, but yeah, there was just nothing that stood out about her. There was nothing that made
Yeah.
her stand out. She never, like you said, she never had that defining Doctor moment.
She never did, but for the most part, I did enjoy her. I thought she was good. I thought she definitely had her fun moments, and I enjoyed the companions that were traveled with her, and it was, yeah. And then to bring in again, exploring the real life people within some of the things, like Rosa Parks, for example.
Yeah.
Like they had her. And I thought that episode was actually kind of fun. Like they really wanted to make sure that she did what she did. Like they were, I liked that one. And I don't, I remember there was so much of, oh, it's so PC, it's woke. Well, before woke was the thing. It was more, the BC was the term of the day. I didn't see that. I thought it was just more that the writing really didn't let her shine when it very well could have.
Yep.
But I don't. I can confidently say I don't hate her run. I don't. I had fun with it, and that's basically what I wanted to go in with.
Mm-hmm.
Was I wanted to go into it no expectations, no anything. It was just I want to just have fun with this and enjoy it for what it is. And I think that was to my benefit because I think if I was watching like just after, I probably would have not got into it so much, and I might have been maybe a little bit more nitpicky about it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now I think was a good time for me to watch it because I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. So yeah, 13 was good. But she really had the potential to be even better. And I think that's where the writing failed her, I think. And I feel the same with 15. Um it was for me a little too winky at the camera,
Yeah, I
a
mean,
little too fourth wall.
really, like literally winky at the camera.
Um, it was a little too self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my favorite episode of I think of Shooty Gut was Run was Boom. I'll mention an episode,
Mm-hmm.
but I really liked that one. That was a really good one, and it made me laugh that they the Villain Guard Corporation
Uh-huh.
and the groves of Villain Guard, and that somebody blew up the factory.
Yeah. There's that history again. I
So
do like that
it,
I mean, that's the kind of winking and nodding that I enjoy with Doctor Who that you
yeah,
could do.
and then that's what I liked about that particular episode was that it wasn't a fourth wall breaking episode. It was they're making a nod to the previous. And for fans who didn't skip 9, they'll get it and have a bit of a giggle about it, But yeah, I think the writing again just it could have, and maybe they were limited because they were connected to Disney Plus and wanted to be quote unquote Disney friendly.
Sure, I mean, they started over the
You know?
series and said series 1, episode 1. I mean, they were
Yeah,
trying. I mean, Disney gave them no promotion at
yeah,
all. They didn't do them
and
any favors. I don't even know why Disney got into the deal because it doesn't seem like they were really very interested in Doctor Who as soon as they had them. So
yeah,
it's just baffling to me. I was excited
yeah,
when I first heard about it, but then, when I saw the lack of interest that it seems Disney had in the property, I don't even know why they bothered to snap it up and put it on Disney Plus. I was happy to get the 60th anniversary specials, like I said, and
yeah,
I watched 15, but it was much like you said. It was much like 13. I just think that he was very much let down by the writing. I think he was good, but as I said, I still got the feeling that he never just fully committed to the role itself
no,
and was I mean, they were talking about him being out the door almost as soon as it was almost like a Christopher Eccleston situation where they were speculating he was going to be gone almost as soon as he premiered. So,
yeah,
you couldn't really get too close to him as the Doctor because you knew he probably wasn't going to be around for that long.
yeah, and I just I will say his second season was better than the first.
Which happens a lot. I mean, it's much like
Um,
Capaldi, where you
yeah,
get a season under your belt, so you can,
yeah,
you get used to being in the role.
but I I think the writing I think failed him, but then I also again the he I really I didn't like the fact that he kind of kept changing outfits.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
He
Yep.
there's I can understand he's unique and quirky and he's got his own thing, and I guess like they were trying to reflect that within what he wears. But there was also some moments where I felt like what he wore was a little bit too human.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah, there was
he's not
nothing that really made him stand out as the Doctor.
no, no, and everybody's got their particular outfit, their
Mhm.
particular look, the one that you know. And he never found that. And I think it was a part of, again, he didn't have really his I'm the Doctor moment,
Mhm.
which I think would have solidified if you know, he just he stayed in one outfit and didn't do a costume change every 5 minutes. You
Yeah.
know, it really felt like that, and I think that was unfortunate. Um, so the little things like that just didn't allow for it, and I wasn't sad when he regenerated.
Yep.
I because I never really felt like I got that moment to really be like, I really really like you.
Yep.
You are great, and I'm and be emotional wreck when he's regenerating. That didn't happen. It was just okay. He's okay now. We're on to
Now
oh
why is that Billy
why
Piper? What
what
the?
why what so yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
You want to talk about a true WTF moment? I think it was Billy Piper's face appearing at when 15 regenerated, and I think we find ourselves now as 2026 dawns at a crossroads for Doctor Who. 20
Yeah.
years after it re-debuted, there is uncertainty again. And for us as fans, I mean, I'm interested to see where it goes, but in this landscape where there's so much to choose from now, I think they need to figure out what they're going to do and hope that it's something that is unique and they can find an actor. And when I say actor, I mean actor or actress. I know that
Yeah.
sometimes now that everybody uses actor, which is fine. I'm not saying that you need to have a man as the Doctor. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that you need to have a white man as the Doctor, but you need to have
Yeah.
somebody who is interesting and I think is fully committed to the role. And I think you need a showrunner. It's still going to be RTD. I just think he needs to be creative and he needs to put a new spin on this. It's another new generation. Doctor Who, it's a show about time, and you need to change with the times and give us something new. It can't be the same old, same old. And
Yeah.
it's going to be, yeah. I mean, there's going to be excitement when they do announce what is going on. If it's, I'm almost sure it's not going to be Billy Piper staying as the Doctor, but maybe she will. I don't know. I don't think she will. So it'll be
And
interesting to see.
especially in the credits, she was introduced like she introducing Billy Piper, but it wasn't as the
As the
Doctor.
Doctor. Yep.
I think, but this is my own personal opinion, that maybe they're going to be doing what they did with 14 to 15 with the whole bi generation,
Possibly.
where it was again maybe the Doctor was thinking of a face, a familiar face,
Yep.
and it's playing on the Capaldi thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then having a filler, and then that'll change into whoever they get for the Doctor. I think maybe that's how they're going to do it, but I don't know.
I think so.
I think it would make sense and be a little bit less wibbly wobbly timey wimey, because you have a lot of explaining to do if
You
you're
got a
gonna
lot of Lucy, you got a lot of explaining to do.
explaining to do. Because yeah, having having Rose come back or the Bad Wolf entity come back is a big what,
Huh?
and that's where I leave it.
Yes, picking up on you saying that's where you leave it, we are going to have a lot of explaining to do because after this 4-hour mega show, we still didn't even touch upon the timeless child and the 50th anniversary. There's so much we could talk about, good and bad, about
For sure.
the last 20 years of Doctor Who. But I am happy that we got to talk about what we did get to talk about. I think it's obvious that you are a huge fan. I think it's obvious that I am a big, big fan of.
Oh,
And when I say Doctor Who, I mean the newer Who, but because of newer Who, it has led me to some of the older stories, and it did get me into the mythology of Doctor Who. And it's just always the joy of discovering something new. There's so much
Yeah.
stuff that I've been a fan of all my life that it kind of gets boring after a while. There's only so many Batman comic books you can read, only so many Beatles albums you can listen to, only so many Star Wars movies you can watch. So when I discovered Doctor Who 10, 15 years ago, I was so excited because I had all of this content waiting for me. And it's been fun discovering that. And it's been fun talking to you about all of this, all of the Doctor Who minutia that we've been talking about. Before we go into some comments, before we get out of here, I want to ask you, favorite Doctor? You know I had to ask.
Of course you did.
We already know your favorite. We know your favorite TARDIS, so you have to give me favorite Doctor.
I mean, yes, I started with 9, and technically he should, be your doctor, like the one you start with is your doctor.
The first Doctor
but
is your doctor.
he's not. I think I love 10, absolutely adore him, but I think honestly 11 is my favorite. Okay. I really like 11.
And how about favorite companion?
Donna.
Okay.
I love Donna. I love her just no nonsense attitude towards things, her willingness to just, get things done, and her little bit of thinking that the doctor, thinking of things that the doctor doesn't think of. Yeah. And just, I love her. She's my favorite.
There are no wrong answers. For me, favorite Doctor, and again, much like you said, 9 should be, because that was technically my first. And I used to be so much more sure of this. And it's 10. I love Tennant. There's something about Tennant. That's the Doctor I would want to be. I would love to have that trench coat, and I would love to have the suit and the sand shoes, as Matt Smith calls them.
Sand shoes and granddad.
But over the years, 11 has been creeping up. And that 1-2 punch of David Tennant and Matt Smith is just, you could see why Doctor Who just got so popular for a time. And it's just amazing to think that they were able to find Matt Smith after David Tennant, with David Tennant being so popular, and then to have somebody who equaled, if not surpassed, his popularity. And I have a soft spot for Capaldi, because I think if he would have chose to do one more series, I think he could have cemented himself as possibly my favorite, because I think he was right there with, he finally figured out how to play it by the 3rd series. And like I said, there's no wrong answers, because you're always going to find something in each Doctor, and that's what's so fun about being able to change their face and to have a different actor and a different Doctor and a different take on the character. And my favorite companion, same thing, where it was always very solidly Rose, but over the years, Amy has really moved up and is getting very close. So we could do an episode 10 years from now where we revisit this, and I would tell you that 11 is my favorite Doctor and Amy is my favorite companion. And I can the same thing. I can find stuff to like in each one, even Clara, as much as I don't like Clara that much.
Favorite. I'm going to pose the question now.
Okay.
Favorite not so much creature, it's a bit limiting. Favorite sort of villain or creature that Doctor has encountered. So, for example, your Cybermen, your Daleks, maybe the Silence.
Yeah, one came right to mind, but I want to just take a second to think if there's any underrated or just under the radar. I think for me, it would be, I really do think that the Weeping Angels were a great creation by Moffat, and I think it was really brilliant, and brilliant enough that they've already vaulted into the pantheon as one of his iconic villains, and they've only been around for this new series. So I'm a big Weeping Angels fan. When used right, I think they can be very scary, and they are a threat that can push the Doctor to the limit and has already caused him pain and to lose people. So I think that's what makes a really good villain. So what about you?
I like the Weeping Angels as well. I think they're scary and they're fun, but I also like, and I think they're maybe a little underused and maybe a little underrated, the Silence.
Who?
And what?
What?
Yeah, I think I've seen some.
There you go. You have to tell people what you just showed me.
I just showed, and I've actually got pictures for when the episode goes live to,
Okay, cool.
you know. So
I'm hiring Melissa I'm hiring Melissa to do publicity for my show.
it's the former podcaster.
Yeah.
What can I say? I don't know.
She knows what she's
But
doing.
I showed I showed Mike that I've got a tattoo of tally marks, and if you're Whovian, you know exactly what they are, and they're from the episode where the characters, they see the silence, but of course when you turn away from them, you forget that you've seen them, and so what they do to remember that they've seen them, they mark a tally. And for many years, I wanted, if I wasn't, got over my chicken shitness of getting a tattoo, that I would do tally marks, because it's meaningful to me. Yes, it has needed some explaining, but it's meaningful to me, and it would just be funny as hell. And so finally, I did it, and I absolutely love that I did.
And here I thought I was cool because I had a Doctor Who ringtone as my text ringtone is the TARDIS, and I used to have a Doctor Who phone case, TARDIS phone case that I used to get compliments on from strangers, and you come out here with the tally tattoo and just blow me out of the water.
I mean, I don't want to make you seem like insignificant or anything. Like, I was like, well, I can continue on and be like, my dad, he built a snow TARDIS in our front yard.
Nice. Now that's awesome. Don't tell my kids that, because I can hardly even build a snowman, not because I'm afraid of the snowmen from the episode The Snowman, but just because I'm lazy and don't want to build snowmen when it snows, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah. He made the form for it and built up snow, and as it got cold and it formed into the big, rectangular thing, and he carved it out and made a snow TARDIS. He even did a snow Dalek as well.
Oh, I need pictures of those also for the episode.
Oh, you bet I have pictures.
Yes. So listeners, well, when you're hearing this, you'll probably see it because I will have sent the pictures out already. But I'm excited to see the pictures in the future.
Yes.
Much like me asking you questions and you asking me questions, I did put out there on social media, just telling people that we were going to be recording. So I asked them just to send if they had any memories or any comments about Doctor Who or any favorite, who's their favorite Doctor, favorite companion. So I did want to read out some of the responses we got over the different platforms of social media. On Twitter, because I do not call it the other thing. Donut Eater 111 chimed in and said, from the modern era, David Tennant's my favorite. And he says he hasn't seen Kutigawa yet. And from the classic Doctors, maybe Patrick Troughton, and he says he hasn't seen past Tom Baker. All the actors I've seen have been good, though, even if the writing let some of them down, which is what we talked about with 14 and 15. Also from Twitter, we have Tinfoil Consortium, who's been on the show a couple of times, and he said, I think the only actor who could have been the Doctor after the hiatus would have still been Eccleston. His boyish enthusiasm combined with a terrible visage when it's time to get serious just absolutely drew me back to my childhood. So that's cool with somebody who I think was a fan earlier and lived through Doctor Who being rejuvenated with Eccleston. We did have on Facebook Tim Rooney, who has been on the show and will be on a show next season, gave us his favorite doctor, who is 9, never skip 9, as he says. His favorite episode is The Doctor Dances. His favorite companion, Donna Noble. Favorite iteration of the theme is New Who Series 4. And his favorite master is Missy. And somebody named Melissa Nicholson, I don't know who that is, responded to him and said, if one skips 9, I hope a banana replaces their sonic blaster.
Bananas are good.
I don't know who that is. That was funny, though.
I don't know who they are either. Couldn't tell you. Nope.
Also on Facebook, we had Andy Leyland chimed in. Hi, Andy. I'd love to have you on the show. Said, when it came back, the only thought I had was, please don't suck. It didn't. Chris Eccleston was a masterful choice, and alongside Capaldi, easily still my fave modern doctor. Dalek made the pepper pot scary again. The kitchen sink drama was never integrated as well as in that first season, and Lord loved Billy Piper. The former pop star was seen as stunt casting akin to Bonnie Langford. What we didn't know was Piper, like Langford, was actually a damned good actress. Rose has been diluted from constant revisits, but in this first season, she nailed the worst-eyed wonder, the horror, and the thrill. That first season just worked. The doctor was back, and it was about time. Thank you, Andy. And we also got a comment from J. David Weeder on Facebook who said, had zero interest in Doctor Who until my friends tricked me into watching Matt Smith's debut. There you go. Then I became obsessed. Very thankful for the pseudo-hostage situation that brought me to Doctor Who fandom. Apparently, I bucked the trend as Tennant became and remains my favorite Doctor. So he also is not, even though Smith was his first, Tennant is his first Doctor. And I do like that that Andy did bring up Dalek and said that it made the Dalek scary again.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we have. Also on Facebook, we had, and I don't know who this is. This is the first time that Rich Handley replied and said when I put it out there that we were doing this episode, he said, very cool, but people always forget the Valeyard, who is just as much an iteration of the Doctor as everyone else here. Now, I've heard of the Valeyard from the classic series, and people always bring up the Valeyard because I think it's a future evil version of the Doctor, so they're always waiting for the Valeyard, much like the Ronnie in the last series of Doctor Who finally reappeared. They're always waiting for the Valeyard to reappear, so Rich is obviously a fan of classic Who, so Rich, you know what? Maybe the Valeyard will eventually appear. I don't know. And we also had, Melissa, I think this might be somebody you know, a Carol Saramaki. Do you know Carol?
Saramaki, and that's my mom.
Oh, right. Do you know her?
That is my mom.
Do you know her
I think I know her. I don't know.
Well, your mom, and tell her I said thank you for commenting. She said, I think what is interesting is the show's transition over the years. Watching the early shows now feels like it's live theater. Of course, as budgets grew and technology evolved, the Doctor Who realm became more imaginative. It makes me wonder where the series will evolve to next. So, Carol, thank you. And you've obviously raised, I could tell that you and your daughter are people I very much want to hang out with because I love your comments and I love your geekdom. So Melissa, you need to tell your mom that I said thank you for commenting on. I you know what? I might be friends with her, and I didn't know that it was your mom, so I would have been like, I'm probably like friends with her. Like, who's this? I don't know. She's been commenting on Melissa's. Whenever Melissa's on the show, she comments. So.
Yeah, actually, I was talking about that we were going to be on here talking about Doctor Who, and I encouraged her to comment like what we were gonna, about that. So yeah, that was my encouragement, and I think she probably would have, commented anyway. But yeah.
That's just funny because folks, listen, behind the scenes, I did not know that was Melissa's mom. So I'm like, what?
Yep.
It's your mother? Well, okay. You're like,
Yep,
I'm like,
that's my mom.
do you know this person? Yes, it's my mom.
I think
she could have came on live. She could have came on live and read the comment.
Yeah, she could have. But yeah, and she's also Whovian as well, and her favorite is Tom Baker, because
Okay.
she grew up with the older series, and she for and I'll actually share that I've got pictures. She actually knitted Tom Baker's scarf.
Nice.
Like she really wanted to knit the scarf, and so for one Christmas, I went with armed with my iPad to with a picture of Tom Baker with his scarf, and I color matched the yarn.
Wow.
I was like no, not that shade of yellow, this one, and I color matched that sucker, and she made all 15 feet of that scarf.
That is dedication. I am very
Yeah.
impressed.
And there will be pictures absolutely shared.
We all change. When you think about it, we are all different people, all through our lives. And that's okay, that's good, you've got to keep moving, so long as you remember all the people that you used to be.
Oh, well, I can't wait. This whole episode has been very timey-wimey because it is our New Year's episode. It will be coming out right after New Year's, and it is our last episode of season 2. So it's the season finale of season 2. I wanted to thank not only you, Melissa, because you've been on twice this season for this episode and also for the John Candy episode, which at least with this episode, I gave you like 2 months warning that we were going to do it, not 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But as this is our New Year's episode and our season finale of season 2, I wanted to thank not only the listeners, and I always want to thank the listeners for listening, for sharing the show, for subscribing to the show, for downloading the show, and for commenting on the show. But I also wanted to thank the guests that I've had on, not only for season 2, but for season 1, which started in March of this year. It has been a fun year getting to talk to people that I've been friends with on Facebook, getting to talk to people that I've interacted with on their own podcasts or on social media, on the different various social media platforms, and to get to finally podcast with those people and have them share their passion with me, much like Melissa sharing her passion for Doctor Who and all the other guests who have come to me with ideas for episodes. When I knew I wanted to start the show, I was nervous about finding guests for episodes, and I'm just amazed that I have had so many people come to me and say they want a guest and come to me with show ideas, and also have people on whose first time it is podcasting and get them addicted to podcasting, much like I became addicted to podcasting. So it has been a fun year doing the show. It's been fun doing 2 seasons of the show. This has been an almost 5-hour marathon, and it's been amazing. After this show and after this season, I'm going to take a little bit of a break. Not because I want to, because I love podcasting, but just because of my stupid real life with work and my kids' school and my kids' activities. It's hard to find time to schedule podcasting time. So I'm going to give myself a bit of a break where I can recharge the batteries and kind of set up a schedule and bank some episodes for season 3. I'm excited for the next season. I already have a couple episodes lined up, and I have some guests that I know will be coming on, some returning guests, and some guests that will be coming on for the first time, and some guests whose, again, first time it will be on a podcast. So I just love that I'm introducing more people into the world of podcasting, and like I said, also getting to talk to people that I have admired and respected over the years. And Melissa, you're one of those people. I want to thank you again for being a guest now twice this season, and I know I'm going to be talking to you again in the future or the past, because we're we're just keeping with the we're keeping with the theme of the show. It's wibbly wobbly. It's timey wimey. You know.
Absolutely, but it's been an absolute blast. Anytime I get to the opportunity to talk about Doctor Who, I am there like a dirty shirt. Like I'm in it because it has been such a huge thing in my life, and it's been I never thought that I would be such a fan of it as I am, and it's really formed who I am. I think too. It's influenced that, and so yeah, when you said that you wanted to chat with me about Doctor Who, I was absolutely for it, and yeah, it's been so much fun. I know we could have talked about so many different things, but Doctor Who is such a vast universe, and who says we can't come back and talk about it more, because there's lots to talk about. So, but yeah, it's been fun, and I really love your podcast. I think it's awesome. It's unique, and I like that it's a little bit of everything pop culture, like your music, your comics, movies. Like, you're not sticking yourself into just a bubble of one thing. It's all kinds of things, and I think that's really, really awesome. So I've enjoyed the episodes that I've listened to, and obviously will definitely continue to listen. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing.
Well, I appreciate that very much. I appreciate you always commenting and sharing the show with your friends, with obviously with your mom, because she's commenting on the Facebook posts. And I
Yes.
appreciate you again coming on not only for this episode but for the John Candy episode, and just yeah, always being a supporter. I really, really appreciate it. Do you want to give out your social media credentials while you're here, or do you want to remain relatively anonymous, as I always ask my guests?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the Book of Faces, but mostly for the ones I share, I'll share that I'm on Instagram at Miss Melissa N25. All one word, all lowercase, nothing fancy. I'll share memes, I'll share, pictures of like my community, because I like to go outside and take pictures of different things, and so yeah, it's a wide variety of things. So if you like that, you can definitely give me a follow over there.
Very cool. I am also on Facebook, just under my stupid normal name, and also under Pop Culture Basement, where I am posting basically stuff about the show. So if you're a fan of the show, go and find me at Pop Culture Basement on Facebook. I am also on Twitter. Again, as I said, I will not call it that other thing. Under Pop Culture Basement, and also under This Lightsaber Kills Fascists. That's my original Mike Jamison Twitter account. I also have another podcast called Sleazebag Cinema, and you can find us on Twitter under Sleazebag Cinema. I am on Bluesky under Pop Culture Basement, and under Mike Jamison if you want to find me there. I don't post as much on Bluesky. I joined that initial rush of joining Bluesky, and now I usually just post on there to advertise the show. But if you usually go to Bluesky, look for me there. And as I always say, and I do thank everybody, much like Melissa, who does share the show, who comments on the show. I'm just asking for everybody out there, please like the show, share the show. If you listen to the show on Apple or Spotify, if you can give me a review, it could be a 1-star review, it could be a 5-star review. Any kind of review just helps the algorithm and helps get the podcast out there, which I would greatly appreciate. And we are on Apple, we are on Spotify, we're on YouTube. It's just audio only. You don't get to see my beautiful face. We're on other podcast platforms that I have never heard of, but somehow the show is on there. But I mean, it's magic somehow. It's magic that we're on there. But you can find us wherever you get your podcasts, and I hope you do seek us out. And for those who have been listening and have been supporting the show, I want to thank you again. Melissa, I want to say to you, Happy New Year. And I want to say to all of our listeners out there, once again, thank you for your support. Happy New Year. And as we welcome 2026, I just want everybody to remember that we're all stories in the end. Just try to make it a good one, eh? Have a great new year. Hope everybody have a happy holiday, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.